Hey fellas, hope everybody's doing well. It is a couple of days before opening day, and I don't know about you, but I am very excited. Hopefully I can get this video out tonight. We shall see. Want to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed. I just went over 100 subscribers. I love this community. It's very cool to be a part of, and just thank you all for subscribing and watching. I greatly appreciate it. I've been wanting to get this video out for a little while. I have found it a little bit of investigative work. So I've titled it, Who's the Guy in the Dirt? And the goal is to show how I figured out who the guy is in the 1973 Topps Frank Duffy card. The cards from 1973 are all fairly poorly taken. Well, maybe not all of them. There are a lot of cards from 1973 that are action shots that are, sometimes you wonder who is the card actually about. And Frank Duffy's card has a guy looking like he's eating second base, as it were. And so I was kind of curious if I could figure out who that was, and so this has been a fun little journey, and always more history going into the cards. And so I'll probably do this with several of them. Won't be able to do this with all the cards from the 73 series, but hopefully you guys enjoy. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we do, one last note. My last video, which was done for UV protection, I talked, and it just barely touched on it, about protecting your slabs if you're a PSA or SGC guy or Beckett guy. And so I did a little follow-on research, and here's what I found. I think most people have probably heard about slab mags before here, and I've included the links, and I'll include links in the YouTube video as well. But recently I just heard about this one called Hero, and I saw a video on it, and I'll try to post that guy's video as well. I might have watched too many videos since then that I can't find it. But in that video, he was using a Hero card protector, wow, and said that it was 100% UV absorptive, I believe is what he said. And I found that quite interesting. So so the reason, right, is if you're not getting any UV energy on or light energy onto your card, it is slowing down the degradation of the pigments that are used. And so one of the ways Hero Diamond Shell is able to do that is they are using a polycarbonate material. And polycarbonate, it turns out, is very absorptive for UV energy. And so here you'll see the solar spectrum here, and this is how much of the sun's energy from UVB all the way into the near IR portion of the spectrum, how much of that energy is coming to surface level or through the Earth's atmosphere to surface level. And so here's the UVB and then UVA portion of the spectrum. And I know I've talked about some of this in previous videos. Well, what I will say is this is all from this site here at Palram or Palram or Palram maybe, but this is all from their work, and I really, this is one of the best graphs I've ever seen of atmospheric windows within the visible and UVA and UVB portion of the spectrum. So kudos to them. I really like this, but polycarbonate is very absorptive, and so this is from the Palram site, but direct sunlight energy, and this is how much is transmitted through the atmosphere in the UV portion of the spectrum, if I'm reading this chart right. And so windows, your window glass, that means it's absorbing UVB, and I think we've talked about that as well in the video, previous video as well. But if you look down here at the polycarbonate, it's not till we start getting really close to the blue that it starts allowing energy through. And so you have most of the spectrum, this polycarbonate is absorbing that energy, which means your cards should be very well protected. And I found that quite interesting. So I just wanted to say that. I haven't tested anything out, but maybe I'll end up doing that. I was talking a little bit with Drew at Clean Cheap Shots, and yeah, so maybe we'll do that. But okay, so let's get to the card. Frank Duffy's card. This is the card. I showed it to you a little bit earlier, but this is the card. And so what I wanted to try to do was to identify the teams. Once I had the teams that were playing in this game, I wanted to look at what series they were, how many times they played each other, so I could identify which game was being played. Then I wanted to identify the plays that this could have happened. And then that would hopefully allow me to identify the player and make the call. And so let's see how I did, and let's see if you guys agree. I'll put all the links for all this as well. All right, so the teams, how did I come about it? Well, to identify the teams, obviously I started out by looking at Frank Duffy's uniform and the card, and it says he's playing for the Cleveland Indians. I wanted to see if there were other cards of Cleveland Indians that looked to be similar to this picture. And so just on a fairly quick search, found two cards. One is the Jack Brohammer picture, and you can see here that my wife is sick, if y'all can hear that, by the way. And she's getting, this is her actually getting better, but she's been sick for a couple of days. And so it's just a cough. It's just a real guttural cough. And now you might be able to hear a thunderstorm. All right. So anyway, but you can see Jack getting tagged out here. And when you look at the picture, you can see this guy is wearing what looks to be a Baltimore Oriole uniform. And then I found a picture of Gaylord Perry. So a pitcher, and Gaylord Perry was a starting pitcher, more importantly. And so now I have, this all looks like it's the same game. You know, they were just taking lots of images during that game. So in 1972, which was the year before, the Indians and Orioles played multiple games. They had 6 series in which they played each other 18 times. And so what I was able to do here is I was able to show that the Baltimore Orioles and the Cleveland Indians did play 6 series 18 times. And the starting pitcher most likely for this game would be Gaylord Perry, or he would have at least played in some of the game. Let's say they were getting blown out and they had to use a new starting pitcher. And you can tell by the pictures, it's a day game. So how did we go about our next steps? Well, now we're looking at the game, identified all the potential games. And so here is a schedule of all the games that were played. I then went through and looked at who the starting pitchers were. And as you can see, Perry started several times against them, but only one of those was a day game. And so that's this 4/23 or April 23rd against the Baltimore Orioles, in which the Cleveland Indians won. It's a 2:15 starting time. So I then went through the game logs, and you can see the references here. And so this is from Baseball Reference, and then this one is from Baseball Almanac. But in the top of the third, Don Buford is walked by Gaylord Perry. And then Paul Blair grounds out to the shortstop at second base, a force out at second. So there you have it. That's most likely the play. So that means the person sliding in was Don Buford. And let's take a look at what we have next. So Don Buford is most likely the guy who was sliding into second on that force out play to end the top of the third. Don Buford was born in Linden, Texas, which, funny enough, I have a family from up there, like actually in Linden, long time ago. But he played in the major leagues for almost 10 years for both the Chicago White Sox and the Baltimore Orioles. And he did not play in 1973. So this is his 1973 card, but his last season was actually in 1972, which makes the card, to me, all that more endearing. But that's how I figured it out. I think I can do this on a couple more. There seem to be some interesting cards from 1973. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.